Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Ask Amy. I'm happy to be with you on this snowy day here in Michigan, snowy Monday. I have a question today that's a little bit different than what I'm used to doing because it's not exactly a question that was sent. It's a series of questions, but it's more in the form of a conversation. And I wanted to share this because it's really, really representative of a lot of the questions I get. So if you've sent me questions, and I will get to a lot of these, about trauma, about what this understanding I share says about trauma, about, yeah, but my body's doing ... Yeah, but my mind, my thinking, my feelings are doing ... So if you have one of those yeah, but questions, which many people do, totally okay. If you're saying, yeah, but what about what about stuff that's in our brain? What about stuff that's in our body? What about that deep trauma? Like, how do I see around that? Yeah, but my experience feels so real. I mean, that's, what I'm saying here is kind of the crux of most of the questions, most of our suffering. I think this will be really helpful. So kind of listen to this little exchange with an open mind and see what you hear in this. So I'm not gonna read this word for word, but I'm just gonna kind of start to spell this out a little bit. So there's a woman I'm gonna call Renee, who wrote me something like this. She says, "I've read your book and watched your videos. I'm suffering with PTSD. My body's worn down with symptoms. My head is all over the place. I want to die most of the time. I understand the logic behind the principles and that we all have peace within us, but this state I'm in now is not who I used to be: outgoing, worry-free, active, and happy. So how do I get back there when I can't do normal everyday things? How do your teachings apply to a person like me whose body is still going through not very nice things, even though I know in my mind I'm no longer in that trauma? I know what happened to me is in the past, but it's like my body isn't aware that I'm no longer," and then she says some specific, really terrible things that she'd been through. "Why can't my body and mind stop being in the past?" So, I mean, it's such a, I'm so sorry for what you've been through, and it's really horrible, and it's a really great question. And it's a question that I think everyone, having a feel for this understanding or not, that I think we've all asked at times, like, yes, but my experience, my mind is going there. Like, why can't my mind? And then when my mind goes there, my body does all this stuff, different symptoms, anxiety, and just all the things that come with PTSD. And, so we live in this super real, vivid, visceral, emotional, mental, physical experience. That's the beauty and sometimes the downside of being a human being, right? Is that this stuff is just brought to life within us in such a real way. That's never going to not be the case. And I don't want to take that away from you because, again, when you're in love and you're happy and things are going your way, you feel all that emotionally and physically and mentally as well. And that's a wonderful thing. So it's not like we want to disengage from life or detach from life in any way. What we want to do, though, is to see who we really are beyond all of this experience. So, Renee, when you say, I used to be outgoing and worry-free and active and all of them happy, how do I get back there when I can't do normal, everyday things? I want you to see that you weren't those things because you were out in life doing stuff. You were those things because you were falling into who you really are. That those things are your nature, and everyone's nature in our own way, but content and worry-free and active and engaged in life, that's us by default. That is how we're wired. It is how we come. Now, we experience trauma, and so everyone does in their own way, not at all comparing the average person's trauma to yours or to anyone else's, but we all experience stuff, right? And our mind goes places and our body follows. So our mind goes places and we replay things and we fear things. And just as simple, just how any simple machine works, our brain just works that if our mind goes there and replays something from the past that was really horrible, or projects something onto the future that isn't real, isn't happening, but is a really horrible thought, our emotions and our physical body will just follow suit because they're all one. There's not, that's just the way that whole machine works. It's just how it goes. So we want to keep seeing, yeah, like your mind, your body, your emotions, all that, they do get into habits for sure. And yours is in habit right now where it travels to those memories and stuff is relived and your body's just doing things that you're not really wanting it to do. So there's a whole system there that plays out. But we're not going to jump in that system and then say, okay, how do I see this system differently so I can go out and live my normal life and do those activities that made me happy? Like, that's way too much work and no one can do that. And it's not the path. It's not the path anyway, because you weren't happy because you were out in life doing things. You were happy because all this stuff wasn't there. You were falling into who you really were. So we just want to keep seeing bodies can do things. They will. Minds can and will do things. Emotions can and will run all the time. But what starts to change this for people is getting a feel for who you are beyond all of that. Now, I can't say that much about, I don't want to give you my words for what that is or who that, people get a sense of themselves beyond a physical body, beyond this little tangible physical world that we live in, and there's a lot of peace in that. So you kind of look for that in you. For me, I just kind of know, okay, beyond and beneath all of this experience, that's all machinery, it's all form coming to life, taking place, it's all emotional and dramatic, but there's something that's never changed. There's a backdrop there, there's an awareness, there's a peace, there's a place that even if you only fall into it for very brief moments as you're falling asleep at night, or maybe you've only fallen into it once this month that you know of, when your mind settles down, we fall into something that is us. That is universal. Every human on earth has that experience. Now, if you ask them, they might not say, yeah, I have that and I remember it. It doesn't mean we're aware of it and we have the eyes to see it. But every human on earth has that experience. Everyone I've ever talked with, and not just me, if we really look, in the worst trauma, the worst addiction, the worst suffering, the worst pain, when our mind settles down, we feel better. Do we feel incredible and free? Maybe not, but we feel better. And that shows us something about that direction, about what's there beyond all of this stuff. So there's nothing that I have ever seen or know to do to tell you, Renee, to change that experience so that you can go out in life so that you can get back to yourself again. That's not the path. The path is saying, okay, this is the experience, but who am I beyond this experience? How can I have a different experience of my experience? How can this still be there? Because I'm not in charge of it. I can't make my body come into the present. I can't, and your logic and your understanding, like you say, you get this, that that's the past, that's done, but it's still being replayed. Exactly. And again, without heavy sedation, I don't know how to stop that for anyone. But what we can do is so much better than heavy sedation. What we can do is start to see that, yes, the machinery of us will replay stuff. That is actually your brain thinking, hey, this was a big deal. Maybe I should keep telling her. Maybe this is helpful. Maybe she needs this. So it's not a problem. It's not a glitch. It's nothing gone wrong. It's simply something we need to see in a bigger way and understand. It's your brain, if anything, trying to help you, and your body saying, hey, why just do what brain tells me to do? So there's nothing inherently wrong or dangerous or even painful about it, although it might feel painful, and that's okay. It's seeing, oh, here's this whole machine system thing doing what it does, but you, Renee, getting a real, tangible, visceral feel for who and what you are beyond that. And sometimes that starts intellectual. Sometimes, like you said, there's a piece in me, but I can't feel it. That's okay. That's a place to start. If you even just can know, okay, beyond all this stuff, I think there's a safe haven in there. Hey, you're better off than a lot of people already. And that's just a start. I'm not saying you stay there, but sometimes that's the foot in, right? It's like, I'm a little suspicious. Or I see that when my mind settles down, I feel better no matter what. And everyone else does too. Okay, that tells me something. That opens up something for me. So it's a softening, it's a looking, it's a feeling into what's there, but you can't just listen to my words because they'll do nothing. If your mind grabs this, your intellect, done. It doesn't matter. It's not going to be worth a thing. It has to be something that you feel in your own heart, within yourself, as, hey, maybe there's something to this. I can't say that enough. The words do zero. The words do absolutely nothing. It's got to be something that we kind of feel and explore and experience on our own. And again, it's kind of a softening, part of that whole machinery. So your mind going to these memories and replaying them, and then what it might mean for the future, and this mental traveling, and then emotional and physical traveling that comes along with it. That looks and feels so solid and real. But if you can start to be a little bit suspicious of that and know, okay, this is just this show that keeps getting played out. This is just my machinery, but it's not me. It's like, along with that whole show that keeps being played out is all of those harsh judgments that only come from our mind, good and bad, suffering and not suffering, want to be alive, don't want to be alive, how do I get back and I'm not there now, and all these kind of, and I'm not saying it like that's just how we live, right? Like everyone with a brain, our mind says these things and has these really tight, solid distinctions. But what you start to feel as you start to look for who you are beyond all that's happening is a blurring of that, because the emotion we feel, the panic, if that's what you feel, the anxiety, all your PTSD symptoms, that's an ebb and flow of energy. Now, this energy ebbs and flows, and then our mind instantly jumps in to make sense of it. Again, your mind's just trying to help you. It's an amazing machine, but we need to be wiser than it, and we are. It's just a machine. So it's trying to help you, saying, oh, this is a bad ebb, that's a good ebb. Oh, this ebb is different than yesterday. Why is this one coming around? What about that? That's just the way our mind narrates something that's not broken, which is you and life. Life ebbing and flowing through you. See if you can get a sense of that, and probably not in the middle of a panic attack. So in the middle of a panic attack is not the time to be saying, oh, this is just an ebb and flow. No, you don't have the wherewithal typically in the middle of that to do that, but now you do. As you listen now, see if you can see, like jump up above, get in an airplane and look down on your life and see, wow, I'm just a healthy human being feeling this constant ebb and flow of energy moving through me. And then I have a brain that's very verbal and wants to tell me about all those ebbs and flows and what they all mean. And that is not trustworthy. That is not what we want to listen to. We want to go deeper. And again, just feel life. Just feel this energy moving through us. I'm not saying it's always going to be easy, Renee, but if you can get a feel for what I'm saying, and again, that is so key, actually get a real feel for what I'm saying and who you are beyond all this, that will open a door for you that will keep opening. It really will. So in part of our conversation, Renee and I's little email chat here back and forth, she says, I just don't know what to do anymore. I've listened to videos and I've heard things about not being afraid of our experience, which, yes, when we humans are not afraid of the ebb and flow, the ebbs and flows just ebb and flow, right? There's no problem. When our mind isn't jumping in saying, this is a scary one, this is bad, this shouldn't be happening, then we're just like babies. We cry and then we smile and then we laugh and then we eat and then we sleep. Like, hey, that's us now without this little mind narrating the whole thing. So something about, not being afraid of our experience, yes, that would change everything. It's gigantic. But then what Renee says is, I've tried that, but it makes no difference at all. And I just want to say, again, it's not, we can't try to not be afraid of our experience. any more than we can, I don't know, pick anything that looks really real to you and really scary and trying to not be afraid of it. You know, it just, like, our trying to not be afraid of it reinforces that it's a big scary thing and I have to try to not be afraid of you. It's all mental. It's all mental. We cannot try, it will never ever work to try to not be afraid of your experience, because you'll be in your head trying to manipulate something that honestly is not a problem. Like, what we have to do instead is see our experience for what it is. So again, it kind of comes back full circle to this, like, I hear, Renee, in this, that you have an intellectual grasp of this, you see the logic, you see how it works, but as so many of us have seen, that doesn't do anything for us, unfortunately. I mean, I shouldn't say it doesn't do anything, because I do think very often we have an intellectual feel for this, and that opens the door for it to become more real. So it's not that it doesn't do anything, but it's not enough. It's not enough. So you get it logically, that the past is gone, that you're just feeling an ebb and flow of energy today that doesn't mean what your mind tells you it means. That's amazing stuff to know. Now know it. It's an amazing stuff to know with your mind. Now know it deeper than that. And the only way we can know it deeper than that is to just stay open to it, get quiet, keep looking within, keep being curious about it, you know, keep looking for guidance, be led by others, because sometimes that, you know, that's not always the thing, but sometimes that is the thing. Sometimes that's really, really helpful, because our mind puts up these blocks as to what we're going to see, but sometimes having someone else in front of you that sees it completely differently for you, like I do for you right now, sometimes that opens up the next door, you know, peels off the next layer. So it's like, oh, I don't feel what she's saying, but maybe she's right. You know, maybe there is something to this. And again, what that ultimately does is just relax us. It softens us a little bit. And the softer and more relaxed we are, and the more open we are, you can't help but see this more and more, and actually feel it in a true and meaningful way for you, because it's in there already. It's just so that we're just so in our heads and in all the fear and the memories and the this and the that, and how do I get back, and why is this going on, and I used to feel so happy and I feel this way now. Like, that is just layers of stuff on top of it. As that settles down and eases off, you, the real you, Renee, comes up. All those things you're looking for, you see, oh, they were there all along. I was just too up here and worrying and trying to fix it. Trying to not be afraid of my experience, to notice that my experience has been here all along and it's okay. So keep softening into this. And for everyone, this is such a common thing. I mean, we're so heady. Every one of us, we've been pointed to be intellectual and rational and all of that. And this just is not something we get with our heads. Although if you got it with your head, again, that's a great foot in the door sometimes, but don't stop there. You know, let it feel like a truth to you, and it will. And as it does, all kinds of things, physical, machinery, mental, emotional, happen. And you know, it's the ebb and flow of life. It doesn't look like, oh, that's good and bad and should and shouldn't. Like, all of that blurs a little bit. And that is peace. That is when you start feeling a whole heck of a lot more like yourself. So thank you, Renee, for letting me share this little exchange that we had. I hope that hearing me speak to it is a little more helpful than, again, my words on the screen were to you. And I know it's going to resonate with a lot of people, because this is kind of the crux of so much of all of our suffering and questions. So thank you guys so much for listening. I'll see you back here next Monday.